Hello and welcome to Game Jam Game Review, where we are looking at Game Jam games that are looking for an audience to play them. Today we're looking at the Drop Bear Minigame Fest. This game, Pindan, is made by Loressa, with 1 minute and 48 seconds before the deadline, so cutting it really close. It has really nice art, which intrigued me, and also an introspective, surreal, interactive fiction game about remoteness set in rural Australia during a dust storm. Seemed about to be the game that I wanted to play right now. One thing that did notice is that there's no thumbnail. And maybe let's check the main page. Yeah, this is also a default landing page. Those kinds of things you can edit after it is finished, but maybe seeing that the Game Jam closed quite recently, this is something the maker will come back to. Let's start. Content warning. So, quite good. I wonder. Okay, yeah, that's. It is not centered like the rest of the scene seems to be. We made this. Okay. Bit unusual. I expect it to be completely your own content, no resources used from other people, which is usually quite specific. I don't know if I've ever made a game jam which is completely my own, including all the fonts and all the things. But maybe you did, and that would be great. Let's start the story. In the dark of night, something stirs, something shakes. Your world changes, and you awake. I'm not sure if that's how I would write it. Oh! Okay, that's a really nice effect. I was a bit worried, like, oh, is it like popping in? But no, it is like intentionally. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it as a waking up motif. The room swarms with shadows, dimly lit by low lamplight. Lumbering shapes resolve into chairs and tables. It's a really good representation of what you visually shown me. You've fallen asleep on the couch again. Your neck protests and you stare around the living room, trying to ground and center yourself. The house is dark, empty, hot. Sometimes in the night the air conditioner's died. You push back a shiver despite the growing heat. Your husband isn't home yet. This isn't right. You catch a blurry flash in the sliding glass door. Your reflection frowns back and you blink at it. For a moment in confusion. Here sleep blurred, bright blue eyes. Okay. There seemed to be right, to see if I have a husband or wife. Okay. It was not clear to me that I could click on the words to change them. Yeah, let's... Wait, I can... Oh, that's that's quite funny. I thought like piercing blue would change also the color blue, but of course it wasn't highlighted. Yeah, okay. And the eyes wink back at you. In the low light, your unblemished, dusky short. This okay, like bit off track, but not knowing what comes next. This feels like a bit of a Mad Libs from just like random words. And it's funny because it's surprising. But let me get back at it. And short form is just a blurry impression, a smeared oil painting against the grey of pre-drawn face hallowed by closely cropped, by long blonde hair, sure. What woke you? Something in the still dark seemed wrong. I do think that it is a better approach to take these words as options instead of having entire dialogue sections about, and his eyes color were blue, red, green. Instead, having the options in the text. If more clearly indicated at the beginning. I'm not sure how direct you want to be in these kinds of cases. What woke you? Something in the still dark seemed wrong. It was a sound, it was a scent, it was something I dreamed. You sit, brown eyes closing, and try to remember. I have a really bad memory for these kinds of things, but I'm not sure. I probably was brown. I only remember it being blue, but maybe I had clicked on it. All you can remember is being lost, hopelessly lost, and utterly alone. Around you the world vanished into slashing, spinning slices of wind. This font has a really similar I and L that hopefully is not gonna trip me up, but we will see. A dust storm. Your husband should have been home by now. Their hours have been hectic. Yes, but the mine site isn't that far. They shouldn't be that delayed. Something else approaches. It looked like the flower popped in, which is probably not what you want to have happened. Okay, so you have the... Okay, that's... you have the picture behind the main selection screen. It's a small detail. Yeah, like it feels a bit distracting, and I clicked on something and I did not expect something to happen. Is it timed? Maybe. We will see. The distant howls of the wind seem to be getting closer as dawn struggles to break through the encroaching storm. The dim morning light leaves you uneasy and unnerved. This is your first dust storm since you moving here. You read about them before. However, in fact, one of the magazines you've lying around might even have an article about storms. You're just a bit spooked, but everything's fine. Everything's fine. Magazine. This seems like a magazine. Australian Homes Quarterly. Like, this is where you might expect to have more scientific explanations of climate change and such things. I expect Australian Homes Quarterly to have more direct, useful advice for what to do with your sandstorms. H&G header. Background art? Is, if so, replace... Oh, this is not intended, I suspect. We'll look over it. Spine facts. Let's get right to the point. Top tips for persnickety Pindan. I have to say, I'm not from Australia, so there are probably some words that I do not know. Porty corner. Which bird are you? Take the quiz and find out. Poetry. Okay, browse the rest of the magazines. Let's look at scientific science. Megadust? That's unfortunate. That I ran into an option that is unfinished. And right now I do seem a bit stuck. Maybe I should have saved. Is there an autosave option? No, there's not an autosave option. Oh, interesting. Let's restart the game. This does not restart the game. In the end, restarting required restarting Firefox and also clearing all my cookies, so I hope that doesn't happen again. Let's start the story again. In the dark of night, something stirs, something shakes. Your world changes and you awake. I do get to see this nice effect again. And yeah, the plant is not here and soon the plant will be. I do not care much about these things. Green, brown. It was something I dreamt. Yeah, okay, so that did work. A dust storm. Something else approaches. Let's see, let's not go to the America. We have a painting of the mountain in the world. The painting depicts a serene snow-topped mountain range. Polished wooden sideboard. The simple, functional piece of mid-century craftsmanship is ideal for storage. Ooh, the potted plant that appeared. The plant is diminutive palm in healthy condition. A well-crafted brick fireplace. A mantel sits above this fireplace, adorned with happy photographs of you and your husband. It's quite nice that you give all this customization to how you want yourself to be imagined. Let's walk. The dawn is dim outside the sliding glass window. Head into the bathroom. Nice effect. The distant howl of the wind seems to be getting closer as dawn struggles to break through the encroaching storm. The dim morning lights leave you uneasy and unnerved. This is your first dust storm since moving here. You've read about them before, however. In fact, one of the magazines you have lying around might even have an article about storms. You're just a bit spooked, but everything's fine. Everything's fine. Do we have different magazines here? Not really. We can walk around, we can look around. Okay, so you can look around. A spotless porcelain sink. The sink is spotless and clean. It seems like there are some nice details, but mostly this looking around at different objects has not yet resulted in any clues, because most of the time if you inspect an object that has no relevance to the story, you get some characterization about the way the main character looks at the world, or if it is more intended to be in a house of somebody else, you get the way something about the character. I'm thinking about, for example, in Undertale, if you look at the fire pokers and talk to it, they explain that the fire pokers have been shaved off to make them less dangerous to children, showing something of Toriel's motherly side, but also overprotectiveness, because arguably you do not need to make it do such a thing for the protection of your children. In this case, these are nice, clear descriptions of the thing you're in, but it does not add anything that I cannot see. I see a clean kitchen sink. I do not see that it's dirty, so I do not get any more information about the world, the setting, me as a character. It's maybe due to the fact that you want so much customization that you want the player to really feel as the character and not impose anything on it. But I think if you do that, then you're either need to do a lot more options, such as you see in very many Western RPGs, where you can really express yourself through other things. That level of options. I personally find it more interesting if I explore something a fiction character, that it is a character with a certain perspective and a certain way of looking on life, especially from what the blurb sold me as somebody dealing with the unease of being alone and the mental anguish that was warned in the content warning. Give me the expectation to really explore fiction and not explore a character I'm playing right now. A shining mirror. You take a moment to study your reflection, flushing with your closely cropped red hair. Oh, fussing. Yeah. Pleasantly polished, this clean tub invites you to take a relaxing steep. I want to take a... Okay, I'm not sure. I've not that much experience with wine, but this should not really be able to happen. Double-clicking makes me select certain images, just like the idea that you can select text. I'm selecting this large image, and apparently also outside the bounding box of the blackness of the level. This is something you need to do if you have a bounding box, that it actually stretches out to other aspect ratios or more like other resolutions than what you yourself have played at. Well, let's do the one thing I have not done yet and read The Wanderer. I'm not gonna travel to Makatopen. Let's click another button. Let's go back to the living room. Despite the heat, you feel a sudden feverish shiver. I have had that before. It does not have to be sudden. Your husband should have been home already. Your gaze roams the room before setting on the telephone. Surely it wouldn't hurt to check on things. Call the mining office. Ah, see. That is a bit of more character that my partner works in a mine. Good day, good country mining. Penny Harbor Regional Office, Martha speaking. How can I help you this morning? It's Shade. Oh, hello. How are you settling into town? Actually, I'm a bit worried. Is something wrong, Shade? My husband isn't home yet. Haven't seen them recently. We've been pretty busy here with the storm blowing in. How about I check around for you? Thanks, it would put me at ease. You hang up the phone, feeling vaguely frustrated. It's too early to panic, but you can't help but worry that they've been caught up in the storm. The low light in the room seems to dim even more as your thoughts begin to spiral and you force your mind into quiet. Maybe reading a magazine will distract you. The faintest of headaches begin to bloom behind your eyes. Without the air conditioning working, a thick heat has begun to permeate the house. You study the wall until, just like everything else, you study the wall unit, just like everything else in the house and town. You add in wry thought, it's functional but dated. You allow yourself a brief moment of reflection, wondering about life somewhere less remote and rural and wild. But the two of you moved here for a reason. Opportunity isn't easy to seize, but there's a lot more of it lying around somewhere like this. Even if scrounging up odd jobs while your husband is barely home wasn't what you imagined. You fiddle with the buttons on the aircon, eliciting a sputtering attempt at resuscitation. It's not ideal, but it's better than doing nothing. Let's actually read this row. Spine flex, let's get to the point. You earned the I'm feeling pricky achievement. Bit weak of an achievement if it seems like it feels right now that the achievement is reading an article. Let's check if it is prickiness. Has to do something with the article. That's a bit unfortunate that it has not actually italicized. Sometimes called porcupine grass, the inland sphinx Trollodala likes to grow in hummocks, which spread outwards to create ring reminiscent of fairy circles. Native creatures use the interiors, again I and L, I find it quite a difficult font to read comfortably. The interiors of these rings to hide, especially from invasive species like cats and foxes, so they are a rather useful plant to the outback bush. Bear in mind that termites and their main grazers, so don't let them grow too close to your house. If you're feeling crafty, the plant is versatile. Indigenous Australians have used it for thousands of years, and still do to this day, to create baskets, nests and sculptures, while the resin is useful for waterproofing, adhesives and beading. You can even use it to patch up a jerry can. Browse the rest of the magazine. Australian Home. Here's maybe tips about having a scent issue. We all know how persistent and frustrating. Text appeared before I was there to read, so I feel a bit like hurried up to like, oh, you should already have been there, which is probably not a reaction you wanted to entice into me. I did earn another achievement when reading an article. Feels a bit lame if every achievement has only to do something with reading an article. We all know how persistent and frustrating Pindan can be. That fine red dust works its way into the deepest, more forgotten little nooks and cranny. The deepest, more forgotten? Not most forgotten? Yeah. Getting it out can be a breeze though, just follow our tips. Vigilance with wipe downs is a must. Don't let the dust build up or you might find even your aircon having issues. Okay. Vinegar is an old wife staple for good reason. It has so many diverse applications throughout the household, and Pindan is no exception. Simply use white vinegar to wash the affected items. Pindan is our go-to product for deep cleaning the dirt. Soak for 24 hours. If any stubborn stains persist, just mix some with water to form a paste and scrub away. Don't forget our wonderful sun. Leave your cleaned items to dry in the sun and get them extra white and bright. Just remember to take them in dust before a dust storm. A dust storm. A dust storm. The dust storm. Well, let's read some poetry. Ancient footprints, modern tracks, like tears they scar the red raw back. We have to live, we have to eat, the price is right and so we reach. Didn't really do much to me. Apparently I'm no bird. Maybe that meal wasn't such a good idea. I wasn't really aware that I ate a meal. That could have been explained more clearly. There's an ominous gurgle and a clench of pain in your gut as you feel your breakfast coming up for a revisit. You start to sprint towards the bedroom, but a wave of dizzying nausea grips you as you reach the threshold. Shakily, you do your best to aim, but despite concentrated power of will, I'm sorry, but that's a lyric from a rap song, not something I was expecting to read right here. 120 power of will, 50% luck. Remember the name, I think. You end up adding a bathtub scrub to your to-do list. Well, it's a bathtub. Like, you can just rinse it out with the faucet and the portable shower head. Let's see. A dirty bathtub. Wait, the sink and the bathtub is dirty? The sink definitely needs to be cleaned. Whoever used it last left a mess. Only you can't remember using it. That's right. You definitely don't remember. Well, I did remember making that mess. Okay, so I thought it was, mystery. Why was this sink dirty? But I just puked into the tub and now it says that we don't remember. So we are just losing memory. An old mirror. Oh, hey, everything here was clean and good and now things are bad. The telephone makes you start and you glance around the living room blinking. When did it get so dark outside? The shadows seem to stretch tall, lapping around furniture. Something about the room seemed changed, different, skewed. The phone rings again. Good day, Shade. Wanted to update you. I've asked her out, but nobody has seen your husband since last night. I checked their time card and they punched out hours ago. Oh. Hey now, don't fret. They've caught a big ute, remember? They can hunker down just fine in that, if the storm caught them on the road. All you have to do is be patient. They'll be right along soon enough. I guess I don't really have a choice. It isn't until a busy tone begins to blare that you realize Martha has hung up on you. Or maybe the line has gotten disconnected. I would imagine that it sounds different to get hung up on than disconnected. But maybe that's not the case. My line has never been cut before. Outside, the storm is picking up strength, blotting out the middle sky and drowning out everything in a relentless howl. And, somewhere in that, your husband is trapped. The colors have changed. Let's be smart and safe, just in case something goes wrong. Bold, thick streaks of paint capture the impression of boulders and trees trembling down a storm-wrecked mountainside. You notice an old burn in one corner and feel a pang of nostalgia, recalling the housewarming party where your husband forgot to put a tea towel underneath the oven hot casserole. Underscroll curl item. A Okay, yeah, that was probably a mistake that it still appeared. A gust of wind roars, the aircon lets out a clank and then slowly clunks to a stop. You're already feeling a bit feverish and queasy from earlier, and beads of sweat immediately dot your brow. Is there a reason why you wouldn't just get yourself a wet towel, even if it's not uh, dry or something like that? Like, it's not Australian weather I have experienced, but during a heat wave, there are more things you can do than just fix the aircon. Attempt to fix the aircon. This really isn't your specialty, but you've picked up some basics. The unit is probably caulked with Pindan. The fine red dirt creeps in everywhere. You glance through a window. The storm is starting to pick up speed. Investigating the problem outside doesn't seem like the most appealing option, but the still, humid air inside isn't exactly a pleasant alternative. Plus, the storm's only going to get worse. I'm not stupid. Maybe it's just an issue with power. The lights have been... Okay, like this once again was... The text appeared before I have even the chance to reach it. So the "it works" interrupted my reading. Maybe it's just an issue with the power. The lights have been on the fritz all day. You fiddle with the unit, turning it off and on again as you do your best to jerry-rig a solution. And it works, at least for now. Let's not click on too many curl items. Okay. Oh. Yeah, this is getting quite desperate. A fit of coughing suddenly seizes you and you end up double over, struggling to breathe. Congestion clogs your throat as you wheeze and hack till you finally spit up a chunk of sputten. The fell... That's always a difficult word. Is as red as Pindan. Oh, It's probably, maybe, hopefully just the dust. Let's look around. Well, hopefully I can walk back home again. Alright. Nope, I'm not gonna click that, because the last time that was real battle. Over the roar of the storm, you hear your phone shaking, ringing. Shade, can you hear me? If with wind done in the storm, are you okay? There's so out there something that hear me, and the line goes dead. So I did get hung up on, because otherwise I would not have been able to call. And yeah, that's quite a massive storm. Okay, maybe I was sick and that's why I stayed in the entire day, but don't leave your parasol outside if it's gonna storm. Things are going bad and things are rapidly changing, so I'm getting a bit mad, it seems. Little remains of the mountain illustration in this painting. Only craggy spikes stepping up from rockfalls suggest it was once an imposing geological feature. You must muse over a marred blotch running down one of the sideboard's doors, candle wax melted down and stained into the wood. It takes you a moment to place the origin, but you finally recall the cyclone 3 years ago, where you played gin rummy in the howling darkness. Try to navigate to the bedroom. Everything itches, your skin, your scalp, your eyes, your gums. You vaguely remember a phone call. Did you dream it? You start to wonder if you're even awake right now. Wait, your husband said something. It was important. Think, remember, they wanted you to... I have zero clue. Which is probably the idea. But I think it was keeping the door closed. The door, did you... husband say there was someone out there in the storm, someone dangerous? As you stumble to secure the entry, the storm rages louder, following you through the house in a persistent dogging chase. You eventually realize the noise is your own ears roaring. You test the knob and the wind slams the door open, knocking you to the ground, and it takes a surge of effort to wrestle it close once more. Fine red Pindan swirls at your ankles, carrying it from the errant gust. That was probably a mistake, as I was thinking about it. It's probably not blood, it's probably just Pindan. More dust, more red, more. You decide to wash your hands just this once. Cracks spider web across the surface of this mirror. Oh yeah, right, that did not work. Your head feels meters away from your body. What a neat trick! You never knew you could levitate. Your vision briefly blurs, and for a moment you thought the shadows were joining in your magic show, shifting and dancing and resolving into vague, lumbering figures. An abrupt stillness blankets you in heavy silence. The eye of the storm has arrived. It all feels almost peaceful. It seems like things have changed. Gouges of glass have been chipped away. Your broken, crackled reflection stares back. Eye color, eyes, bloodshot, and gendist. Gendist. That was I've heard that word before. That's unfortunate. Let's return to center stage. Even with the aircon, you're finding it harder to breathe, think, stay awake. A distant memory struggles to surface, something you read once about these storms and how to best to endure them. It's just hard to remember. Yeah, let's maybe not... Oh, please don't. That's unfortunate. Let's see what happens if I reload. Okay, intake. You fumble with... Okay. It really takes you out of the world if... okay, maybe this should be waited for the end, but there are a lot of things where you've done a lot of effort into different kind of aspects, like the continuously changing descriptions, and if that was what you really want to do, if that was what you were had enjoyed a lot, power to you. But for me as a player, I found it mostly surprising that this pivotal discussion at the end was not working. That some things that are more I don't want to say superfluous. I don't want to say that it wasn't are details that do not matter, but they matter less than having the ability at the end to choose option a different option. And even if you ran out of even in situations where you ran out of time, I would have suggested to either not give the player an option, or have the option not work. Like click one but the character does something else. Could be frustrating, could work as showing the loss of control of that your mind has over the rest of your mind and your body. But okay, let's get back. You fumble with the aircon settings, fingering stiff and clumsy, and eventually manage to adjust the airflow. Immediately a haze begins to cloud the room. This was the wrong choice. Dead wrong. This is a very red world. And there are stage lights. And this is a stage. Curl item, curl item, curl item. Error. Outside the sliding door, the darkness feels absolute, leaving your house a lonely island in the storm. Hopefully the audience won't follow you into the bathroom. They did. That's mean. A wet splash tickles your upper lip and you absently rub at the itch. Your hand comes away smeared red, a nosebleed. From the dark stillness beyond the dim light of the room's lamp, you could swear you hear a mocking laugh. This one. I expect the first one to work, so I'm gonna click the first one now because I don't want to encounter that again. You fumble with the aircon settings. Okay, that maybe was I did I not listen? Well, that's unfortunate. We've gotten stuck. Okay, what I liked, the art in Meccan, like perfect, but it seemed like you spent so much time on the artwork, and now what we have showing for it is a game that does not work. That has too many dead ends where the game locks up in itself and makes me not capable of finishing it, which is like really unfortunate, and probably also really frustrating to you, I imagine. So if I look past it, like I said before, budgeting time, like how long can I work on this? How long does something to finish? But also, what is the scope of the game? I in the beginning I mentioned that I did not really understand where the description was for. And I think that most people who will play such a game will have that same attitude. That okay, like why am I reading this? What do I get out of reading these descriptions? But like the words used were after the first one. After like the first one were a bit like okay, like mediocre, average, just straightforward descriptions. But later on, the phrasing was quite evocative, maybe sometimes bordering on cliched, but like very strong word choices. Like okay, I'm still a bit hung up on the fact that I will not experience how you intended the story to end. But it seemed to expect that like wrong choices, that something bad's going to happen. Overall, like I quite enjoyed this. It's still like really functional and it really showed up a strong vision. That's definitely something. I do have to say, when it comes to the more madness, more like feeling of going insane, things are going wrong. I did not really get into an understanding of the character I'm playing or me. It just more generically happened. Like you forgot stuff, and that felt about it for the like the and your the thoughts came more inconsistent, but not really like. I would suggest maybe making that a bit more specific, make it more something that you can really feel. There's also an aspect that very rarely were the descriptions including most many things other than how it visually looked. I got like there were some memories that were like strong use of prose, but there were quite a few times where you could more focus on the smell or the or the sound or something which you can just describe and don't have to really work on making it actually sound like the way you describe it. But overall, quite an enjoyable experience, and I hope you keep on the good work with writing future stories.